Checking. Sending data online. There's Periscope. There's Facebook. There's the other Facebook. There's YouTube. And maybe there'll be Twitch. I don't know. But, well, we'll just see about that. So I got a kind of crazy one for you. And this one is, this is like meta crazy. It's got a couple different levels of, nuttery, tomfoolery, shenanigans, whatever. So this is a thread from GS, and you know that's the chilling effect, right? We're so Puritan right now. I can't even say the name of this very popular audio form that I'm sure we all go to. The thread was, and I'm not going to show any names here, okay? The thread is, I need help with audio interfaces. It says, I have a Focusrite Solo, but I think it sounds thin and tinny. I'm making the leap to buy the MPC 3000 for the warm sound it has. But then I got to thinking, what am I going to do? Record everything through the tinny sounding Focusrite Solo? That doesn't make sense. So I'm curious what audio interface I need. All I need is a true headphone recording. My Hades Canyon doesn't have a microphone input, which would be all I need in theory. So my question is, I don't need the best sounding audio interface, but I need the truest. I personally can't separate best from truest when we're talking about like a reference kind of source, like what is the word for it? Transparent, you know. Turn off the AC. So you know, my guitar amp, I don't necessarily want to sound exactly like the guitar coming in, but like let's say you're playing your MPC 3000 through whatever you play it through, you would think you want it pretty transparent, right? Let me see what an MPC 3000 is though, because you know, for all I know, it's got a oh, it's an old one, so it probably doesn't have a USB out or anything. Maybe it's got a SPDIF out. Then you know you can come in digitally. Then you don't have to worry about any of this. This guy's probably pretty new though. He joined in 2016 and has 149 posts. And he has a. Let me see if he has a My Studio thing. I don't want to show any names. He's got a lot of MIDI stuff. Or it shows. So you know, you're not gonna make fun of somebody just because they don't know some esoteric audio knowledge or whatever, but you know, anyway, so you know, there's always this idea that you're going to get a better sound out of a different interface, and I know a lot of you guys claim that, and I think that most of you claim that have no basis to back that up whatsoever. I've done these tests, and I don't see these things. I've never been able to find them. Sorry, I need to you know, the descriptions don't show. Yeah, that's a unfortunate. I have a little bit of trouble with the Restream descriptions. It shouldn't. Actually, it's accidentally showing something for this N&M Creation YouTube channel, which is really cool. So you know, I don't mind, but maybe Restream, you should fix this up a little bit so that we know verbosely that descriptions are going in. Let me see. Sorry, it's just gonna take me a second to just clearing out all this for next time. Okay. So anyway, he wants a better sound and interface. He's getting a thin and tinny sound. So let's go down here. You know, we got some decent posts here. Not too much of the. I really like what Vin from Dawventure is saying. Pigeon chess. You know, people are saying most modern interfaces can do the job. No recognizable modern audio interface is going to sound thin and tinny unless it's broken. But the original poster comes back and says, "Sir, did you read my use case? Room treatment has nothing to do with what I'm doing here." You know, again, not going to nail somebody for not knowing something, but the Dunning-Kruger factor is always something to be very much aware of, right? So, you know, Aisha said, this is me, can you actually run a frequency response test on yours? Perhaps it's broken. They're pretty flat when they're working. And the reason I say that is on my page, I actually test this stuff. Even the mic preamps. Let's go down to one of these cheaper Focusrites. Here's an 18i20. So I'm going to crank this up. This thing is flat to within plus 0.1 decibel and minus 0.2. I mean, you're not going to hear that. Sorry. I mean, I know you guys think you do, but you don't. We can do an ABX test and we can bet something, but no, you're not going to hear that. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, was that the right one? Yeah, that's the Behringer. I don't know, Focusrite 18i20. You know, my Octaprise is even flatter, but I think that might be a slightly better mic preamp or whatever. But still, it's so close. So this guy says, I think you guys are right. Recording seems to be fine. The issue is when I use the headphone jack, it sounds tinny. So maybe, you know, there's a lot of reasons why headphones can sound weird. But now, no, I don't want to do this. So now he says, however, I have discovered another issue. There are no stereo recording capabilities, which is pretty ridiculous. Can you guys recommend an audio interface for stereo recording? I can't even find any documentation saying the Focusrite Scarlett Solo only supports mono recording, but I've seen other people say it. I've got this thing as a means to record stereo LP records to PC via my Hades Canyon, which has no audio in. And correct me if I'm wrong, most motherboard audio in supports stereo, right? So I just need something from my Canon Hades, from my Hades Canyon to record stereo. It seems simple. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Yeah, I really don't know this signal chain. Like, what is a Hades Canyon? Let me see. I thought that sounds like some kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna stop guessing. I'm gonna look. Hades Canyon. It is, what is it? Some kind of thing that lets multiple displays come in. I don't really know what this is, but it looks like a computer. This might be one of those cool little computers. Anyway, you know, if you're using your motherboard audio in, you don't need an audio interface. If you want to use the audio interface, then you don't care what your motherboard's audio in is. I'm wondering now if he's listening to the headphones through his motherboard. I have no idea what goes on, but okay. So anyway, somebody answers. Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. It supports 2 inputs, mono, so you can make stereo recordings. The name of the Solo one really says it all. And you know, yeah, it's just funny, you know. And yeah, I'm gonna laugh. Sorry, but yeah, I guess the guy had bought a Focusrite Solo. And if you guys don't know, this is, I'm pretty sure this thing actually can record in stereo, but it's got 1 mic preamp and 1 instrument input. So it doesn't have 2, apparently this guy's got old records or whatever and wants to bring them into his computer, which is pretty cool. I know the Hydrogen Audio guys do this a lot, but yeah, you're gonna want a stereo interface. So it gets better though. So he answers back. Isn't 2 inputs kind of extra and over the top just to get a simple stereo recording? I'm going to let that sink in. Yeah, that's painful. But you know what? I don't really know what he's thinking. Maybe he thinks that each input is stereo. I don't know. But so he says it's as simple as a 1/4-inch audio in jack on most motherboards. I've never seen a motherboard with a 1/4-inch jack. I guess my point is that there's zero sense in going in with something with 2 mono ins instead of just finding something with a simple stereo in. There has to be a better solution than 2 mono recording adapters to make it work. You know, he kind of has a point. You know, this stuff can get really complicated and stuff, but you know, this is Dunning-Kruger territory at this point. But you know, you may have a sound card with a stereo in on your laptop or whatever, and then I guess you could take an 1/8 inch cable or some kind of adapters from your record player if your record player has a single stereo out. But I'm guessing that your record player, for the most part, is going to have maybe it does have like an 1/8 inch jack out on it. I'm not sure. I guess I'd like to see a record player, but most of the ones I seen back in the day, they had what do you call 2 RCA jacks. And so those 2 RCA jacks would have to go to 2 inputs someplace. And it does suck to try and exactly level match 2 mic preamp. And I'll give you a idea of what the 2i2 looks like that was being recommended to him. I don't think these are detented knobs. Actually, I'm just about 100,000% sure they're not. Let me get a picture of it right here. So, you know, you would be trying to match these knobs up perfectly in order to get it, or maybe you could turn it all the way down and it'd be enough signal. I don't know, but you know, really inside your DAW or whatever, you could match these things up later on with the test signal, or you know, you're going to get close. But he's right; it would be simpler if it was just one plug, but that's not what you're going to find in a professional interface anyway. So you know, yes, that's very funny. I mean, you know, I'm sure everybody's laughing. I took a good picture of it, but you know, somebody else answered. Look at a professional recording consoles, lots of mono channels. When you want stereo, you pair them. Audio interfaces are no different. You know, actually, if you go to really cheap consoles, though, you will probably find some stereo inputs. Lots of times they'll use them so that they can bump up the number of channels the thing this says they have. But really, they only have so many full feature channels, and the last 8 or whatever are actually 4 stereo channels. That's kind of one way you see these guys doing this kind of thing all the time. And then he says, the Behringer UMC 404 HD Euphoria is an excellent interface for a newbie. 4 channels for around $100. Sounds as good as anything else and is rock solid despite the brand name. And so remember this is Behringer. And I'll say this right now. The drivers that Behringer uses are made by the Sycon.de, okay? They make drivers for a lot of stuff, including the overhyped stuff. Just remember that. And it's nice that this guy actually said on this particular board, this GS board, that Behringer is rock solid. You know, sounds as good as anything else and is rock solid despite the brand name. Now, I don't know that he's tested that stuff, but again, I have. I do have a Behringer in here someplace. Here's the XR18. I don't imagine that this is much better than any of those. I did test the 202 HD. You'll see that way up high, this thing starts cranking down to almost -1 decibel. Again, I don't care. -1 decibel, so what? The Midas mic preamps everybody makes a big deal about actually do something very similar to this, and I can show you that because I'm sitting here with my hands on a Midas M32, the one you guys are constantly talking about right now, right under my fingertips, and I've also measured this one. So that's what this guy says about the Behringer, and he's right. You know, it's not as flat as the Focusrite, but I don't care. -1 almost at 20K. You know, cry me a river. You know, so then one of these true believers, and really I like what Vin had to say about this. Let me get the exact quote. Because, you know, I never know how to exactly describe the faithful in as quick as you possibly could. But he talks about pigeon chess. You know, you can play chess with the pigeon, and, you know, you might understand the rules, but the pigeon's just going to knock down all the pieces and probably crap on the board and declare victory, right? And so here's one of those, one of these pigeons here. One of the Me Too's on the forum. And, you know, it's kind of probably not a nice thing to say, but I'm tired of people telling noobs they got to spend $5 billion on stuff when they can't back up their claims. So he says, I have a Focusrite Solo and a Metric Halo ULN2. The sound is very different Focusrite being not so defined and much thinner than ULN2. I don't think so. Oh, good. Okay, that guy was not so bad. Here's another one. The Focusrite Solo has a limited sound. What does limited mean? What do you define that in? You measure that limited in frequency or distortion or noise. Claret, Scarlett, both product lines are drab and put you in a lower tier audio category. I'd love to see you back that up. I doubt you can. I'd be willing to bet some gear on it. And then so he says, thankfully SSL showed up out of nowhere to rescue the budget interface market. The new SSL2 and SSL2 Plus are incredible. They are category destroyers in the under $300 price point. Besides great sound, you get true dedicated controls for each function. Now remember I had said that Behringer used the Sycon drivers. I'm pretty sure, almost 100% positive, that so does SSL. So I want to see about that dedicated control thing that he's talking about. So, crap. See, these damn scammers. Just want to see the SSL2, not the 2 Plus. I don't know what he means by dedicated controls. Let me see. Okay, so here's the SSL2. 48 volts. I don't know what this does. Maybe some kind of like knob that makes it sound like some other thing or something. Or is that phantom power, line, or oh, cool, instrument input. So when we're looking at the Scarlett, the one that apparently doesn't have controls, what does he say here? They are category destroyed. Besides great sound, you get 2 true dedicated controls for each function. True dedicated controls. Okay, let's see what these functions are. So you have mic preamp gain on the SSL. You have mic preamp gain on the Focusrite. You have line or instrument controls on the Focusrite. You have line or instrument controls on the SSL. You have a monitor level, phones level. 48 volts. I guess, globally, this one, the Focusrite, has a global phantom power switch, while the SSL has 2 independent phantom power switches, if that makes any difference in the world to you. This is what I say. Be careful what you get told on forums, as people are just, I don't know, they just say things, and I don't think they really know what they're talking about. So anyway, I thought that was a really funny thread, and hope you got a kick out of it, and